Hey everybody, Wenzel from Hooch here. We are here in Austin and I'm here with Don Youngs and Kurt Hildebrand. That's right? Yeah, nice. I'm bad with names. Yeah, so you guys told me that you have a ranch and you're experimenting with new ways of living, and your goal is 1 year without a grocery store.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Is that possible? What is your experience?
We think it's possible. I mean, people did it before there were such things as grocery stores. And it's we're not quite ready to start that project yet, but we're getting there. And we're kind of experimenting with new ways of living that are like the old ways of living, I guess. But we're not primitivists. We're not trying to go back in time. We're trying to take things forward into the future. Right. But with the ideas of responsibility and sustainability and independence and self-sufficiency. So we moved out to a little piece of land, about 7.5 acres, in a town about 50 miles west of Austin called Wimberley out here. And about four or 5 years ago, we started trying to grow and garden and hunt our own food on that land. And we're getting somewhere with it. I'd say we're at about 25 to 50% of all of our food that we eat comes from our own land and our own property that we grow it now. So, but maybe Dawn should tell about the year without a grocery project that we're hoping to do.
Thank you, Kurt. Well, I think we started with trying to figure out what our staple foods would be. So we've tried to experiment with what we can grow here in Texas and be sustainable. I think we discovered that the sweet potato is a really important food for us. So we've really invested in that. We're trying to get it to go native on our land so that it will be a little more sustainable. And we're trying to build up an orchard and berry bunches. I don't know what kind of, it's not a berry orchard, but just trying to get to a place where we're kind of using permaculture to create a landscape that will maintain us over time.
Wow.
And eventually, hopefully soon, we'll be able to get some chickens in there and just kind of bring a full circle so that hopefully we can provide everything for our sustenance.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, we started with raised bed gardening. The soil in the hill country of Texas is extremely rocky with limestone. And so it's very hard to dig, but we built raised beds first we started with cinder blocks and mortar, about 12 to 16 inches above ground. And then we switched to native rock and mortar beds that we've kind of created a more natural look and feel to it than the angular blocks. But the idea that, to Dawn's point about permaculture and whatnot, that was kind of 1.0 for us, thinking along the sort of traditional agricultural lines, very monoculture, very angular, just kind of trying to impose your will, I guess, on the landscape to get it to grow people food. And the direction we're headed with it, that's what's working for us, keeping us fed now. But the direction that we're trying to head with it is to create something called a food forest, which is really just to plant so much food that just natively grows and is sustainable and with some limited kind of maintenance and tending can keep itself going.
Wow. That
there's just enough to eat all over the property. And
that's so cool.
That's part of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so would you imagine future society, many families like next to each other having these kind of gardens that kind of sustain themselves, or do you think permaculture will be used by huge corporations?
Interesting question. Do you want to take it?
Sure. I mean, I hope actually that it's the first one that you said. I think because one of the things that we've learned as we've continued to grow for ourselves is that it really brings you in touch with your own humanity and your place sort of in the grander scheme of things. It's humbling, but also inspiring. And I think that I would like to see a world where children and families are all doing this and having this experience. So I'd rather not see, any corporations involved in that. And we would, personally would love to gather neighbors and gather friends into our neighborhood who, it really it's a lot of work. So the more hands, the merrier, and I think it makes life easier if we can all sort of come together on that.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things on that point, and I'm glad you reminded me and brought that up about, we set out on this kind of mission and this journey to start to take control of our own, food independence and food self-sufficiency because of what was going on and what we started to find out what was going on in the, I call it the agro-industrial complex, the Monsantos and everything else, and find out where your food comes from, and you don't want to eat it anymore. And so, that's how we started out on our path. But I think I speak for both Dawn and myself when I say that as we've gone through this process of learning, like really, we knew nothing when we started, nothing at all about how to grow food or hunt or can and preserve or any of this stuff that we've taught ourselves as adults. But going through that experience has taught us a lot more than just the skills of preserving and how to butcher meat and how to grow food. And we've learned so much about our connection to the natural world and empathy. When you kill an animal, I'd never killed anything before, and you go to hunt for your food for your life, but in that process you learn about things you didn't expect. That's all I can really say about it. So to your answer about do we think or do we hope that, I guess, people will do this and kind of band together into kind of these localist, sort of communal, I don't want to use the word communal necessarily, but you know what I'm getting at, these communities for food sufficiency, or do I hope that it would go into a more larger scale? I would hope both, honestly. Because if these principles would be applied at a larger scale, it would only be beneficial as compared to what it is that we're doing now. You know what I mean?
So essentially, it doesn't really matter what the social structure is as much as using new principles of agriculture. Some people might want to all live together in one house. Some people might want to just have one house per person. Some people want to... is that kind of where you're going at?
Yeah, I think the key is actually diversity, right? So the way that we treat our food and the way that we treat our food production now is all about homogenization and monoculture, growing single crops, corn or soybeans or chicken or pigs. And that's actually the problem. And I would say, and I would argue, and then I'll let Dawn chime in on it too, but I would argue that actually that diversity, not just of food, but of lifestyle, that's actually what is sustainable. You know what I mean? But what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Well, golly, I don't know. I don't know if this really follows from that, but I just started thinking about the idea that we kind of work in the office space in order to acquire some kind of free time or something, in which will be leisure time. And I've really found that working actually for yourself, working in the land, working for your own food, it may be that you don't have as much leisure time, but actually you have fulfilling work instead of working for a dollar or working for somebody else's profit. I don't know why that was inspired by what you just said, but
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah, that is beautiful. It's really awesome to talk to you about this. Wow, it's a very interesting perspective. Wow, yeah, most people I talk to, it's more theoretical, but you guys are actually doing it. So that's kind of cool. Wow, yeah, I really want to get a farm, like get a piece of land somewhere in the next couple of years. Like right now we're still busy driving the country, but soon I want to like settle down and put all these concepts to practice, and wow. I think we should probably get going. But hey, thank you so much for sharing these ideas. And
I'm so glad we got a chance to do it.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're ever in the area, please come visit us.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, let's do that. That would be great. Well, thank you.
All right.
Cool.